When you think about a spiritual journey, it often feels like this super personal, kind of mysterious path, right? But what if there was a map? Well, today we're going to look at just that, a framework of 4 distinct spiritual levels, and this comes from a practitioner with almost 50 years of experience.
So what does this journey really look like? Is it just wandering around in the dark? Or is there actually a map you can follow? Well, the whole idea we're diving into here is that, yeah, there is a map. There's a structure to it that can totally guide you.
All right, so where does this come from? The framework we're talking about is from a practitioner called the Man from Oz. And get this, after almost 50 years of deep practice and teaching, he noticed this 4-level pattern. So this isn't just some random theory, right? This is straight from decades of lived experience.
So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll talk about this idea of a map for spirituality. Then, we'll walk through all 4 levels. We'll start with seeking knowledge, then move into esoteric practice, which leads to mystical experiences, and finally, we'll get to the non-dual state. And if you want to boil it down, you can think of the whole journey as 4 key actions. You start by seeking, then you're practicing, which leads to experiencing, and finally, transcending. It's such a great way to see how you go from just being curious to this really deep transformation.
Okay, let's jump in. Level 1, seeking knowledge. This is pretty much the starting line for almost everyone. It's that very first step you take on the path.
Yep, this is where it all begins. It's that foundational stage where your curiosity just takes over and the journey really gets going.
And what's really interesting here is just how broad this stage is. Level 1 is all about that first spark. You're reading books, you're Googling stuff, maybe checking out different religions or new philosophies. It's like you're on this big quest for information, just gathering all the data before you decide to go all in on one path.
So after all that searching, you naturally land at level 2, esoteric practice. And that word esoteric, it sounds fancy, but it just means knowledge for a smaller, more dedicated group. This is where things start to get real.
This is a huge turning point. It's where you stop just collecting information and you start taking dedicated, personal action. See, at this level, you're convinced enough to actually commit to a practice. So you're not just reading about meditation anymore, you're meditating. You're doing mantras or specific breath work or yoga, these kinds of disciplined techniques. It's that massive shift from just knowing about something to actually doing it.
And when you put in that dedicated practice, well, that's what opens the door to level 3, the mystical experience.
This is where all that hard work from level 2 really starts to pay off, and honestly, often in ways that are totally profound and unexpected.
Okay, so this is another major turning point. Your practice starts to mature, and you begin to have these direct experiences of what the Source calls the multi-dimensional nature of existence. I mean, this could be anything from sensing beings from higher frequencies to just encountering things that feel, well, magical. And here's the absolute key. You're shifting from just having faith to having direct, personal proof.
And that brings us to the peak, the culmination of the whole path, level 4. The Source describes this as moving through states like samadhi or nirvana and heading towards this ultimate state of non-duality. So, this final stage, it's like the full flowering of all those mystical experiences from level 3. It's where it all comes together. Now, what's crucial to get is that this level isn't just one single thing. It starts with these states of total unity. You might know them as samadhi or nirvana. But, and this is the key insight from this framework, that state of unity then leads to something even deeper, a non-dual state that's totally beyond any idea of a personal me. Okay, now this is a really subtle but incredibly important difference. In level 3, there's still an I. There's a self that is having the mystical experience. You're a witness to something. But in level 4, that separation totally collapses. Like the Source says, there's no I, no mind. There's nothing there to witness anything. So it's not even an experience anymore because there's no separate experiencer left. And this is so important because a lot of people might hit level 3 and think, this is it, I've arrived, when really the final step is the dissolving of the I that's having the experience in the first place.
And this is where words just fall apart, right? The Source puts it perfectly. It's non-experience total. It's indescribable. You can use words to point in its direction, but they can never, ever capture it. It's a state that has to be, well, realized, not just intellectually understood.
So this all leaves us with a pretty fascinating question to chew on, doesn't it? If the end of the journey is literally indescribable, then what's the point of even having a map in the first place? It's definitely something to think about. Thanks for exploring this with us.